Hello everyone. I have created another project. In this project, I have created an Instagram homepage along with the sign in page. I have used only the front end part over here, and the back end logic is not implemented. Everything over here is made using React and Redux, which both are used in the front end. Let's explore the UI. So, in the left, you can see there is a sidebar along with the Instagram logo and other icons over here. Over here, I've used the React icons library. So some icons are pretty old. They are used in the older versions of Instagram. Next over here we see is the timeline component, which contains the stories and the post. So these stories are not being fetched from some API or something. I have created a JSON object, and the profile URL, the post URL, likes, comments, everything is there in that JSON object. And basically, we are extracting the information and rendering it in the timeline. In the right, you can see there is a suggestion section where you can follow, unfollow certain users if you are following. So this thing is implemented using use state. So if I follow this particular user and reload the page, over here you can see that again everything is rendered back to normal. And I have also implemented this basic like functionality. As you can see, I'm liking it, and the like count gets increased. Let's look at the sign-in page. So this is pretty close to the current sign-in page that Instagram has, except for the Play Store and download options. There is a carousel of images that Instagram uses, but for the sake of simplicity, I've used a single image over here. So if I log in using my name and password, my name will be rendered on the home page. So this is implemented using Redux, and for the sake of UI, I have also added the forgot password, login with Facebook, and sign up functionality. So if I log in over here, you can see instead of profile here, my name is appearing. So there is no backend involved over here. These are being passed from the Redux to the new component. And again, if I reload the page over here, this thing will be again rendered as profile. So if I want to make these changes permanent, I have to use the Redux persist library. So it will store all these things in the local storage. That's pretty much all about the front end. Let's look at the code over here. This is the app.jsx file. I have used React Router DOM for navigation. This is the home page, and this is the sign in page, which is rendering the respective elements over here. Homepage basically has three elements: sidebar, timeline, and suggestions, which are displayed using the flex property. So, as you can see over here, this is the flex row property. And let's look at the sidebar. As I said, I've used the React icons library, and all these icons are pretty basic and quite, I mean, anybody can use them. Over here, I am using the use selector method, which comes with React Redux. So, there is a user state which contains the information that I logged in from the sign in page. Over here, I'm rendering the icons as a list, and they have their certain CSS properties. Now, as you can see over here, I have used the ternary operator. So, if current user exists and if there is a username, I have to render the username of that current user. Otherwise, I have to just render profile. So, this is a span element. Let's look at the user slice. So the name over here is user, and we are passing the current user as null in the initial state. And there is a reducer sign in data which has state and action. So whatever information I'm passing, that is passed to the current user, and then we are exporting this reducer. In the store, we have named it as user, and we are just using it in the sidebar component over here. Other components are timeline and suggestions. So let's look at the timeline. As I said, I've used the custom JSON object, which is an array of objects. It contains all the necessary properties: username, post URL, likes, comments, time, caption, everything. So over here, I'm using the map functionality, which is provided by JavaScript, and the post component is being rendered for every object that is present in the array. We are passing the properties as props to this. So similar to the profile logic, I've used the same thing for captions also. So if there is a caption for the post available, I'm passing the caption as prop, otherwise an empty string. So basically, we can also post a picture without a caption, right? So this is to ensure that. Along with the post, there is also a stories component. So what I did was I filtered certain users out because not everyone posts stories. And after filtering them out, all the rest of the users which are left, I am passing them as props to the stories component, again using the map functionality. So first, let's look at the story component. In the story component, there is an image tag which is covered in a div tag. So over here, I have used the CSS property as block along with white background. So the white background which you see over here, it is the first div that is covering the image tag, the circular white background. After that, I have used the background which is a gradient that transforms towards the top right. So BG gradient to TR, which goes from yellow to fuchsia. So this color is used by Instagram in for their stories and basically certain logos or something. So this is the basic CSS for the story component. Let's look at the post component over here. So post component takes a lot of properties. We have destructured them over here. So these are the same properties which you saw in the timeline. Over here I'm setting the like as a use state. So as you can see, if I like this, the like count increases and the icon changes, right? So that I have implemented using the use state. So this is a pretty basic CSS for the post section. So as you can see, if like is true, the complete heart will be rendered. So this red heart over here, if I like it, is rendered because like has been set to true. So initially the default value was false. If I click on this, that will be set to true, and if it is set to true, this red heart will be displayed instead of the blank heart. So that functionality is implemented over here. And again, I've just rendered the comment and send icon, everything that is typically there on Instagram. I'm also checking that if like is true, just increase the count of likes, otherwise let the likes be as it is. And that's pretty much it about the post component. Let's look at the suggestion component. Over here also I'm using the use state hook given by React to us. So there are four properties: span 1, span 2, span 3, and span 4. These are passed as objects. So upon clicking on any of the icon over here, any of the span, see, this is changed to following, right? So if this certain property is set to true, so upon clicking, set follow function is called, which we are using the spread operator over here to preserve the previous state of the follow object, and we are just changing the span one property to opposite of what it was previously set. So this is if this function is being called, we are setting this to following, otherwise we are rendering the normal follow button over here. So this same thing is rendered for each of the four suggestions that you are seeing over here, and the same functionality is being implemented for all. So that's about the suggestion component. Let's look at the sign in one. In the sign in, basically we are using the typical form procedure that we use in React. So upon submitting, we are calling the handle submit function. So what handle submit does is it prevents the page from reloading, which typically happens when you submit a form, and it dispatches an action sign in data, and we are passing the data as a payload as an action to this. So what data is actually an empty object, and upon entering our information in the input tags over here, we are calling the handle change function. So what handle change does is, again, similar functionality. We are restoring the previous state of data, and we are only changing the ID that is being uh, inputted by the user. I mean, the input tag in which I'm entering the information, only that value will be changed, preserving the previous data. So that is being taken care over here. And this is all basic UI for the sign in component. So that's pretty much it. If you like the video, please click on the like button, and if you want me to implement the backend for this or any other functionality, please add that in the comments below. Thank you.